What's going on, everyone? My name is Under the Radar, and welcome back to a very special series, very special to my heart. And I'm really happy that I'm able to bring this series back. Real quick, I will give all of my new subscribers a quick second to know what this series is. So this series is called Draft League Viability. Every single episode I will take one mon and I will talk about the way it works in draft format. And by talking about the way it works, I mean specifically I'll be talking about its moveset, its abilities, the way that it best fits, the way that you can build around it, and what it does really well in the Draft League format. And pretty much I just try to give you guys good options for whenever you're going into your draft leagues of how to build around a specific mon. I had this series on my channel a very long time ago, and I stopped it for personal reasons, and now I'm really happy to be bringing it back. I wanted to get some Gen 7 draft under my belt before I could bring this series to you guys. Everybody's been asking for it in Gen 7. I needed to get a little bit of practice in with myself before I could come out here and pretty much act like I knew what I was talking about without actually knowing. So this series will be going up twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I will be covering two mons that work really well synergistically. Two mons that work really well together. Hopefully giving you guys some good ideas, and of course on every single episode I want this to be a conversation. I want you guys to let me know if you think of another mon that works really well with a specific mon that I'm talking about, what mons you want me to cover, everything like that, your specific favorite mon, if I miss something about a mon that you really like, anything like that. Always let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I always want this series to be a conversation. That was my favorite part about it back when I used to do it. But with all of that being said, let's just go ahead and hop right into the revamp of the Draft League Viabilities. And we will be starting this series off with my favorite Gen 7 Pokemon, Tapu Koko. So let's talk a little bit about Tapu Koko. What is Tapu Koko good at? In a short answer, everything. I know it takes a lot for somebody to say that a Pokemon is good at literally everything. However, this mon can quite literally do everything. It can be a stall breaker, it can be a very good physically offensive pivot, it can be a very good specially offensive pivot, it can be a very good physical or special wall breaker, it can be a very good bulky pivot on both sides. It can literally do everything. Its move pool alone proves this in supporting Taunt, Roost, U-Turn, Brave Bird, not Brave Bird, Volt Switch, and then Super Fang in Nature's Madness. That alone makes it a stall breaker. It can beat things like Chansey, it can beat things like Blissey, Toxapex. It can beat all of them 1v1 just because it can wear them down much quicker than they can recover up, because it does have access to Taunt. Having access to Volt Switch and U-Turn is something that I think makes an electric type just one tier above everything else. Things like Heliolisk, Thundurus, INT, Zapdos, and Tapu Koko are way above things like Jolteon for me, just because they have access to U-Turn and they're not instantly stopped on pivoting. Jolteon was probably a really bad example because it also gets Baton Pass, but you guys obviously know what I'm saying. Then whenever you talk about things that normally wall electric types like grass types or anything that's like a steel type, this thing can generally deal with them pretty well. With having access to Z moves with Supersonic Sky Strike or just Brave Bird in general, it can deal with any grass type that you could want it to. And with, again, things like Nature's Madness, it can wear down a lot of steel types pretty easily, because the vast majority of the good steel types in Draft League format don't have recovery outside of things like Scizor and Mega Scizor and Skarmory. Not to mention, on this thing's utility moveset, it also has amazing things like Light Screen and Reflect. I got absolutely decimated by that because I wasn't expecting it. Then whenever you look at the special side of things, it does have access to things like Obvious, Thunderbolt, Volt Switch, Grass Knot, and Dazzling Gleam. Now, obviously, its special attacking stat is much lower than its physical attacking stat. However, that does not deter you from running a special set. Being able to run mixed is another great quality that Tapu Koko can run as compared to things like Zapdos or Jolteon as an electric type. Having the bulk stats of 70, 85, 75 also makes that very good alone at being like a great assault vest user. If you compare this thing with a very good wish support user like Sylveon or Vaporeon, you're able to easily get this thing back up to good health and take hits reasonably well the entire game. Also, with having access to Roost, it also brings a great set of Calm Mind Tapu Koko, being able to boost up its special attack, being able to outspeed generally everything that you want to outspeed anyway, and being able to take hits pretty well instantly makes this thing a really good electric type and fairy type to grab. So what type of teams does Tapu Koko work best with? Pretty much every single team. Tapu Koko fits well on almost every single type of draft that you could imagine. In general, I'm going to say that fat stall drafts are not the best in Gen 7. With how offensive things have become with the likes of Z moves and all the new offensive mons that have been created in the game, it's just really hard to bring something like Sableye Blissey, Toxabliss, anything like that, along with a full stall team and just completely stall out an opponent. I think that's very hard to do this gen, so to say it fits well on that team is a little bit of a stretch. However, it can still do a lot of work on that because even stall teams need a really good bulky pivot to work with it. The best team that I think Tapu Koko fits on, though, is a rain team. If you guys know me at all, you know that I love rain. I love weather in general, and I think that this works really well on a rain team because not only does this mean that your thunders are 100% accurate, but this also gives a new helping to other things, being able to not be put to sleep by things like Spore on something like your Mega Swampert or your Kingdra, make it a little bit easier for you. Having 100% accurate Hurricanes along with 100% accurate Thunders on multiple different mons is very unique. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Tapu Koko has Hurricane. Other mons have Hurricane that are also supported by Weather, and Electric Terrain Dance just makes Thunder and Hurricane spam a lot easier. This also works well on a really hyper-offensive draft. A good buddy of mine named Mr. Murkrow, he ran it on a very good, fast, elite speed draft team, and he ran it pretty much exclusively with Weavile and Zygarde 10%, and every single game, Tapu Koko, Weavile, Zygarde 10% came, and they did work every single game because it's an elite speed mon. It fits very well whenever you have that type of really hard offensive pressure. Tapu Koko also fits really well in a bulky offensive type of draft. Being able to pair it with things like Celesteela, being able to pair it with things like Conkeldurr, and a bunch of other bulky pivots, even something like a Tornadus Therian, make it very easy for you to wear down an opponent's team very easily, and make it to where your big sweepers like a Mega Lopunny or something like that can clean up very easily late game. So what does Tapu Koko struggle with the most? Well, in my opinion, that is a bulky Steel type or a Steel Psychic type like Jirachi. Or a really good bulky ground type like Nidoqueen. I have effectively used Nidoqueen to wall a Tapu Koko decently well. I didn't in the PPL, and that's because dual screens, it really messed me up. Again, versatility is the key here. However, those are the two things that it really struggles with the most. So how can you help it with this? Well, if it's on a rain team, you don't really have to worry about the bulky ground types because, you know, you have Kingdra and Pelipper and Swampert and ow. However, if you're just looking at drafting something that can really help out weaken bulky steel types, I think that this thing works best with a very good wall breaking fighting type. Preferably one that has momentum for my personal playstyle. However, the best one that I found that works best with this is actually Conkeldurr. Reason being, Conkeldurr in its own, which will be the second mon that I'll be covering this week, it has a bunch of different things going for it that can really help stop things that weaken Tapu Koko very easily. One of them being toxic spikes, burning, and status in general. It can pretty much stop that. And being able to force switches, like instantly knowing that something is going to have to take a Drain Punch and something, and more than likely they're going to be going into a Fairy type or something to resist the Drain Punch. Normally Conkeldurr can deal with that pretty easily with no drawback because it's Conkeldurr and it's fat. So I think that Tapu Koko plus Conkeldurr is a very good combination, and depending on the type of draft team that you're in or the draft style that you're in, you're able to also get a very good high tier Pokemon along with those two, because normally Tapu Koko's tier 1, Conkeldurr is like tier 2 or 3 depending on which one you're in, or if you're in a PPL priced based league, normally Tapu Koko is up a little bit higher and Conkeldurr is a little bit lower in like the 13 to 12 range. So realistically, you're able to fit those in pretty well with still getting a very good top tier pick. Overall though, with Tapu Koko being my favorite Gen 7 Pokemon, I'm going to rank it very, very highly at a very solid A-. I think that this thing can go well on every single team. It can go well on every single type of play style, and it can fit any type of person that you would want it to, and it's very easy to build around. So a lot of people say that Tapu Koko isn't a round 1 pick. Strongly disagree. Very good round 1 pick. I always suggest that people get something like this early on if they can. But yeah, I love Tapu Koko. And that is where we're going to stop here today, folks. I want to thank you all very, very much for tuning in to the very first episode of Season 2 of the Draft League Viabilities. In the next episode, obviously, we will be covering Conkeldurr. It is an older Mon, however, with Z-moves, it has a lot of new things going for it and how it can support the new Mons. So I'm really looking forward to covering that. If you guys are excited for this series to be back, please show your support by hitting that like button down below. I would greatly appreciate it. Also, don't forget to go down to the comment section, leave me a comment and letting me know what you think of Tapu Koko and what you think it works really, really well with. Also, guys, I want to give a massive shout out to a very good friend of mine named Bill Standish. He did all of the graphics for this series. I greatly appreciate every bit of it. Thank you very much, Bill. And I love the way it all looks. So if you guys really want anything done by Bill Standish, his links will be down in the description below, as well as you'll be able to preview all of his art. I've had it on my channel before with like P4G and stuff like that, but I strongly suggest that all of you guys go ask him for anything that you guys might need for GFX. But guys, with that, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. Thank you all again so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.